Ladies and gentlemen, the game of chess features many incredible stories, from the prodigies to the computers to the world champions and more. One of those incredible stories I have covered on this channel multiple times, and that is the story of TYLER1, one of the most popular streamers on the planet who got into chess. He primarily plays League of Legends. He found the second most difficult and painful game to play. And then he became a top 1% chess player in less than a year. This man straight up needs to be studied because his rise was unprecedented. Recently, he popped up on my feed again. He sort of took a break from chess. Now he's back playing mostly bullet games. But he came across my feed, and I would like to show you two games that he played today because they're so good. Like, it's mind-blowing that 2 years ago, this man did not know anything about this. Nothing. He just knew League of Legends. And I didn't know anything. I still don't know anything about League of Legends. Maybe I should get into it. Recently, TYLER1 has been coaching some people in League. Jinxie organized a League of Legends tournament. If you don't know who any of these people are because you don't really follow streamers or you're too old, I apologize. I'm dropping a bunch of things that you don't know, but these are all streamers, and there was a big League of Legends tournament, so I kept seeing TYLER1. So in this game, I'm going to show you a game that he played against a Brazilian guy named Mauro, and then a game against Onipixel, and this game will blow your mind in several ways. So this very first game, Tyler opens with the same opening he plays all the time. This man got into chess and just learned the cow, which is, I mean, the cow is just an opening that has theoretically existed forever, and then Anna Kramling just decided to call it the cow one day. In this opening, you put two pawns up like this with both colors, you bring your knights out like this, and then you put your knights out once again. There are some ways that you can mix it up and play slightly differently. Now, this is a bullet game, keep in mind. So black just develops normally. Tyler continues with his usual knight out to the side of the board, and he has mastered the art and the structure of this opening so well that he knows where the pawns go, and he knows where the bishops go, and the knights, and the king. So black just takes as much central space as possible. In the cow, the opponent often has the advantage according to the computer, but the computer can't play the game for you. That would not work. Tyler plays knight d2, and now, rather than playing knight b3, he decides to have both of these knights fight for the central square, e4, and plays bishop e2. Black, very principled, developing the bishop to an active square, and Tyler castling. And black developing another bishop. So far, black has played like a computer. I mean, black is only 1400 bullet. I mean, 1400 bullet is very high rated. That means you are even stronger in the other ones. Every pawn that you can in the middle, knights and bishops very active. Now, at this point, the sides haven't actually clashed. And let me tell you something right now. If you have ever seen TYLER1, that is not a man I would want to put my hands on. First of all, because we are both married and have our own families and so on. And second of all, he looks like he would squish me into a pancake and then throw me across a football field. And now they will clash. These sides will clash. All right? Like, white goes here. Now, this move could be captured, ignored, or black can push the pawn, right? So capture, ignore, or push the pawn. Keeping the tension is an art. You have to know, like, what's the best plan here. You can push. What you shouldn't do is you shouldn't take, because this move frees up the white position. White now maintains a pawn there. Black loses a central pawn. And white also gains access in some ways with this bishop and this knight to this square, right? Because the bishop used to be blocked. So e4 is a very practical move. Black goes here. This is also completely reasonable. Now as the structure locks, you start thinking about, well, who's going to control what? White is going to break with the move f4. That is white's key idea here. White has backup. Black, meanwhile, has more space on this side of the board, so that is where the computer wants to advance and encroach. Tyler plays b3, which is just a normal move, and then he brings his knight to c4, because if takes, he's going to take with this, then he's going to use the open b file, and this move defends f4 with the bishop, and he's going to go f4. This man has just mastered how to play with different patterns. he gets a pretty close position, which is to his benefit because in a closed game, you are in a lot less danger. The opponent can't really break through a wall of pawns. Black plays b5, and this trade is just bad for black. Losing a bishop for no reason destabilizes your position. And now, in a very logical turn of events, if you lose this bishop, you lose power on the dark squares, which means his next move is automatic. And now if you take this pawn, white has a massive advantage, 1.3, which is kind of bewildering because a moment ago it was minus 0.4. It is a near 2-point turnaround, 1.6, 1.7 points, right? Black should have just preserved the bishop. If black wanted to give away a bishop, he should have given away this bishop, and even this is not particularly good because then you would lose access to f5, which is why the computer now wants to go here, and it wants to prevent the white knight from moving forward, but at least the bishop stays and keeps the position stable. Another reason this is okay is because this bishop for white is not useful. White has a bunch of pawns on light squares, 6 out of 8 pawns, and because of that, the bishop can't move around. You're learning about color complexes, by the way, in what I'm breaking down right now. If you want to learn more about knights, bishops, light squares, dark squares, and how trades affect the position, you should check out my second book. Really, How to Win at Chess Next Level, comes out October this year. It's going to take you to like 1800, and yeah, I mean, I'm very excited for it. And, well, signed copies in the US might be sold out, but you should check the description. They're still available in the UK, Canada, Europe. I don't think they've sold out just yet. Anyway, that's just the mandatory promo for improving your chess. Tyler gets a completely beautiful position. In this position, white actually should take instead of pushing. He pushes, which is completely fine. He still has an advantage. The reason it's better to take, he activates his bishop, he activates the rook. 2 pieces join the attack. Even though black can go here, white actually can already win the game on the spot with sacrificing the rook and then playing queen d2, queen h6, and knight h5. And black is defenseless on the dark squares. Completely defenseless. He only has one way to defend himself. Well, I said completely defenseless, but he has to move this rook and then bring the queen to f8. Otherwise, you just lose. If I get queen h6, you can just resign. Which is brutal. So, he plays f5. It doesn't really matter because ultimately the attack breaks through anyway. Here he gave up a pawn because he didn't want black to open up the a file, or he mouse slipped, I have no idea. And then he went knight h5, and black here has really one move. Black needs to play pawn to f6. It's an ugly move, but you need to prevent white from entering your position. He does not prevent that. Tyler immediately, with the bishops, with the rook, with everybody pointed this way, just wins the game. Wins it on the spot. The only way to stop queen g7 mate here is knight to e6, and white can win in several ways. Probably the purest is just to go take the knight and then checkmate. The other way is to sack the bishop for the pawn. And this is completely brutal because in this position, you rook lift, and lifting is definitely something this man knows about, and that's game over. It was just incredible. Like, he makes it look so easy. He loses games too, but he makes it look easy. And I want to show you this game. He played both of the games in this video at over 90% accuracy. And again, a year and change ago, like, this man didn't know how to play chess. I think I covered the PogChamps tournament with Ludwig. I don't know. That might have been 2023 or 20. I think it's 2024. This man was 100. This man, he didn't know anything. He's played 10,000 games, and he's actually so good. It's incredible. And Onipixel, who I thought is German, I don't know why his flag is the Netherlands. Maybe he's eaten some stroops. I don't know. It's the Netherlands, though. Yeah, so look at this game. Okay, so white plays g3. This is a rapid game. He develops his bishop, like 2 bishops, and Tyler, meanwhile, does his thing, right? He plays his opening, the 2 knights, and Onipixel plays the hippo. So the boys play an opening where they're not clashing yet in the middle, and here white plays f4. Now, there will be a reveal at the end of this game because you will be completely shocked at white's rating. Some of you know it because you followed recent tournaments. I really couldn't believe it myself. Like, this was actually a very good game of chess if you don't take into account and really don't even think about the fact that technically it's a lopsided matchup because TYLER1 is so good, but he takes, right? Now, white here can take several ways. Just don't take with the rook. The best way is to take with this pawn or the knight. Taking with the g pawn is is a little bad because you weaken squares near your king. And also, if you take with the g-pawn, this pawn is just kind of weak for the rest of the game. So pawn takes or knight takes are both good. One takes like this. Tyler generally goes for fair trade. He takes with the knight. If he doesn't take, like if he goes here, the knight is going to actually make its way to the side of the board, and black is going to be under a lot of pressure. You're going to have to play the move f6, which is really ugly because now your bishop can't move at all. Then you're going to want to go here, and the guy's going to go there and stop that, etc. So he trades, pawn takes f4, and again, we have a moment here, like, how do you develop your position here? Well, this man doesn't even spend any time. He's like, strong bishop on a long diagonal? Well, one of my best moves is probably to go bishop f6. Yep. He's played that move in 0.8 seconds. Incredible understanding. Not even like, he's not even trying. He's just playing the best moves without even thinking about it. There are other moves. You know, you want to develop this bishop, but that would blunder this pawn. So you can play something like pawn to d5. d5 is a nice move. It blocks the diagonal. It also stops this knight from coming forward. The drawback of the move d5 is you weaken this square. So knight f3 and knight e5 is possible. And if bishop f6, white will go knight e5 and block that trade. So there you go. Bishop f6 is played. On it just takes, and black improves the position. You know, he trades a passive piece for an active piece. Now he controls the diagonal. White has, again, several moves here. Rook to the center line, queen out, and then bring the second rook. Maybe bring the knight. Just don't blunder anything. Okay, rook c1 is weird. It's a weird move, but it's weird because, like, it doesn't do anything. If you push the pawn, the rook is still kind of blocked, but fine. Tyler develops the bishop. He played that move in 2 seconds. He actually blundered a pawn. He gave away the pawn on b7. Now, the reason the position is not so bad is because even though, you know, white could maybe do something like this, actually black is going to give a check and then force the king to go here and then jump in with his knight. And before you know it, you might have to give away the bishop. And this is just bad. This is a bad position for white. The knight is worse than the bishop. The bishop is coming in, attacking everything basically whenever it wants. The rook will come in. If you put your knight here, I immediately put pressure on the pin piece. I immediately put more pressure on the pin piece. There's pins everywhere, crisscross applesauce in the position. You're just going to lose. Now, One plays knight e4, which is a completely reasonable move. You can take the knight because it's attacking your queen, or you can move the queen. And Tyler takes the knight, completely fine. Here, white can take with the bishop or the pawn. The pawn blocks the bishop, but it actually, 2 pawns together is an improvement, and it also opens up the queen. He takes with the bishop. Fine, the position is still equal. Tyler attacks the bishop, defended by the knight. And now, the best move is, well, I would like to move my knight, so I should probably play pawn to c6 so that 3 of my pawns build a brick wall diagonal against this bishop. To have an understanding to play the move c6 here so that you can then move your knight, like, that's very sophisticated. Now, an even stronger player would actually think about this and go, wait a minute, actually, I could move my knight. I could, because you can't actually take this, because I have a fork of the king and the bishop, but okay, then white goes here, and then you still have to play the move c6. Tyler plays the move c6 in 0.3 seconds, which is just about as fast as you can play a move without pre-moving. Just think about that. His opponent, after the move d5, went here, spending 17 seconds. He spent 17 seconds on the move bishop g2. Tyler had pawn to c6 locked and loaded. It is more impressive, in my opinion, to play a move in 0.3 seconds than it is to pre-move a move or play a move in 1 second. Obviously, he had to play this move so fast. He just knew. He's like, I'm playing the move c6 because now I'm building against this bishop. It's just a good improving move. Another move I would consider here, pawn play, is a5 and a4. So, for example, if white plays the move, what did white actually play here? Okay, white played c4. c4 is an inaccuracy. In general, when you advance pawns, you don't want to leave a pawn behind. If you do leave a pawn behind your pawn, you want the pawn supported by a pawn. Pawn chains like this are good. This is a problem, though. Now, if black takes, it would be a bad move, because if you take, white will take with this pawn, and that pawn is now no longer a backwards pawn, and white has 2 cascading triple pawns like this. You know, not tripled, triple. And this is good. In contrast, this move is 5 to 6 times worse. because after something like rook d8 and queen d4, this pawn will just perish in the future. And that is a little bit about transforming positions. You ask me what the best move is here, I'm probably going to play rook to d8. I'm going to play this move basically automatically, or rook e8. So put the rooks in the middle of the board. The reason I want this is because if this trade happens, I'm going to take with the knight. And if this trade happens, I'm going to take with the rook automatically, because this is solid and this is just a direct line against a huge weakness. And what's more is not only am I going to potentially win the pawn, I'm going to put my rook on the second rank, and then I'm going to get to the king, because the king is open. White is actually in a lot of trouble here. Tyler, in 3.5 seconds, plays the move rook e8, completely ignores this. I don't like rook e8 as much because this transformation is actually, this transformation is actually not what black wants. But you do have a move here, which is queen d4 check. And then you would avoid this type of transformation. So rook e8 is played, rook e1 is played, and now black is much better because black can actually win a pawn by force. Black can play takes, queen d4, and win the pawn on d3. He plays queen d4 check first, and then he takes on c4, which is not the most accurate. Here he did have rook takes, takes, and queen takes d3. Now, queen d4 check forced the king to the outskirts of the board. In general, a check like that is useless, but as you approach an endgame, it is not useless. It is not useless because the king needs to get to the middle. If you have an endgame of rooks and knights and so on, it's actually not useless. This is the biggest inaccuracy that he made, and this is why TYLER1 is 1400 bullet and 1700 rapid, and not 2100. Also, he might be taking it easy because he's playing against, you know, a weaker opponent, but like, yeah, a 2000 transforms the position the correct way. Now, white needs to take with the d-pawn. He actually does. And now we have a position where everything is on the verge of getting traded, and my nose is itchy because there's a bunch of pollen in the air. Not in this room, but just, you know, in general, in my life, and also placebo. Now, actually, white is completely fine. Just this one transformation of the pawns makes the position totally equal. Queen takes, rook takes, and at this point, I would be trying to take and get my rook to the second rank and bring my king. So Tyler goes here. Now, I would prevent the rook from infiltrating. That can be done with either king f8 or this move, which is very fancy. Now, if rook e7, there is rook d1. See, if white's king had been here and it was something like this, be a totally different story because now white would play rook e7. And in general, the person that gets the rook to the second rank first is going to be the one hunting in the endgame. If you trade, I don't even have to trade with you. I force the king away, and then I play a4, a5, a6. I start breaking apart your pawn structure, and you're going to have some problems here with black. You play something like this, your knight is just straight up trapped. You have to give a check now and try to play knight d7, and while you will save your knight, I will, you know, pin you like this, and you're going to have some issues here. Or even bishop f3 is stronger, because what's going to happen ultimately is the rook runs out of room. The rook runs out of room, b4, c5, etc. In the game, after rook d8, One played c5, attacking the knight. Tyler went knight d5, which is an active move, which is actually a mistake, because in this position, you can take the knight. And there is no rook takes because of rook e8 mate. This transformation is bad, as white would then get an advantageous potential structure here. Doesn't really matter. Knight d5. Finally, white makes a mistake. One plays b4. Tyler can take it. And again, in an endgame, if you want to get better at endgames as a beginner, you have to activate the rook on the opponent's 7th rank, and you need to make sure your king is toward the middle. Here, the best move for white would have been king g1, king f2, and try to get the rook to e7. I would have accepted a4, a5, and tried to get a6. But in the endgame, pawns are spikes. You should not just launch them forward. Dopamine moves like c5 just don't cut it. Blundering a pawn in one move was a little bit overdue, honestly. But Tyler now picks up a couple of pawns and puts his rook square on the 2nd rank. Excellent technique. He should now bring his king, avoid back rank mate. There's no more back rank mate. g4, now I would bring the king or win the other pawns. He goes to win the other pawns, and these pawns are just going to go. White plays bishop e4, you take another pawn, and here, rook c1. Just trade the rook, and these 3 pawns will decide the game. You have extra pawns, you can bring the king, you can put the rook on c1, he chases the knight, he brings it back, king e7. Now it's easy peasy. Now you just promote your pawns. You don't even need to move the rook. It's good to, and there we go. And there we go, and he's realized it. He's going to eat as many pawns as he can. He's going to take all his pawns. Now, obviously, here you just win by pushing basically whichever pawn that you want. I would push the pawn with the rook behind it. But Tyler, I think at this point, wanted to make a statement. Now, you are allowed to not resign here with white. And then, you know, with black, you are allowed to either win fast or take as long as possible. Although, you know, ball's in your court. You should make one queen and deliver ladder mate. You can also make as many queens as you would like, just as long as you don't stalemate anybody. He actually really committed himself here to making this last queen, and now you have made into 700 different ways. And I think white resigned. He could have played on, but he chose to resign. Now, I showed this game because, again, Tyler didn't make a single mistake. He didn't make a single mistake. He lost a pawn, and it wasn't even that bad of a move because he had such a lead in development. Hey, the guy is playing games where he's not blundering anything. This was a rapid game. He's been playing more bullet. Obviously, bullet games are a little bit more ridiculous. And also, I just wanted to say shout out to Onipixel, who is a 500 rated player. Guys, a lot of you are below 800. I don't think you would have lasted 30 moves on equal grounds with a 1700 rated player in Rapid. I don't think so. I mean, we have to give credit where it's due. TYLER1 is a freak. Like, his ability to play such controlled chess is honestly admirable. He's a 99th percentile, 98.5 percentile chess player. And if you hate on this man, as some wise philosophers once said, they hate us because they ain't us. And yeah, that's all that's really all I can say. So that is all I have for you in this video. This man is back in the chess spotlight. I figured I would feature him, and he's an inspiration. He should be an inspiration to any of you aspiring players, because this man, yeah, his chess is controlled. He plays really well. And shout out Onipixel as well, who was a finalist against Jinxie in the last PogChamps tournament. Okay, that's it. Get out of here.